Hey friends, Maud here. Today I want to show you a description that I made to make a junk journal cover from fabric yourself. The one you see here in the video is in Dutch, but I also made one in English. And if you want to get one, you can send me an email. I have put my email address down below, and you can contact me there to get one in English. I will send it to you by post or I will send it to you digitally. The thing I did in this description is give you all the materials and the tools that I use to make these junk journal covers. I made it in a junk journal style. I used some images on Canva to make this a fun to watch description that you might also use again in the junk journal that you make. The thing I want to show you in this video is the way you can use this description. This is not a tutorial of how I make junk journals and junk journal covers. For that, I advise you to look in the description box down below, because I made a playlist of all my previous videos that tell you how I make junk journals. And if you've been here for a longer time, you have probably seen a lot of videos like that for me. This description is 3 pages. All the things you see here, again, are in Dutch, but I translated them into English. And the measurements I use in this description are for traveler notebook size journals that I made myself. There is a video in which I make a junk journal like this from a magazine, and I will link that video down below for you. But it is the measurements of 21 centimeters high and 11 centimeters wide. Those of you who follow me for a longer time know I love to use Stamperia paper and images of fairies, and I use all kind of book pages that I find in the thrift store. I like to use these junk journals to cover it up with more images or put gesso on it. And I also have another one, and this one I did with some plainer paper, so it looks more like a notebook with some images in it, but this is more like a notebook style that people can use that are not so accustomed to junk journals but love the idea of a notebook with some images in between. In this description, I am working with these measurements of 21 by 11 centimeters of the junk journal, but you can obviously take any size of journal that you like, be it handmade or a store-bought journal, and do the measurements yourself. I write about this in the description of how you do that, and you just put your notebook flat and you draw around it to get the measurements. But if you want to put multiple journals inside the cover, I also tell you to measure the width of the spines of the journal, because you have to take that in consideration of how wide you will make your cover. I make these junk journal covers out of all kinds of fabrics. Mostly I use cotton fabric, and for the base I use a really plain, this is a sheet, an old sheet that I use to do the collaging of the fabrics on. But you can also use other materials, but keep it a plain fabric so it doesn't distract you from making the collage on top of that first fabric. The way I like to make these covers is by making a collage of all kinds of fabrics, and mostly I use cotton, but I sometimes also use silks like you see here, and some felt. Using silk and felt is also a really good possibility. You can make it as crazy as you like, and you can make it as simple as you like. I mean, everything is perfectly fine. It's up to you what you want to do. In here, I used just some trims that I gathered over the years, and I've sewn them down with my sewing machine on a piece of denim. And I really liked the stitching because it was rather neat, so I didn't do anything else on it. This is how my junk journals look once I worked in them. They are completely full, and I'm not going to flip through them because some things are quite personal. But there's also other fabrics that you can use. For example, this one that I made out of Japanese quilting fabrics. And this is a voiceover, so this is the one that I made of Japanese fabrics. And this one I did using a slow stitch method. The other ones I made on my sewing machine. And I also made some images on here with some felt. The slow stitching also gives a really nice background for the inner lining. I really like all the neat stitches, and for this I used some felt in between the layers to give it some stability and some some heft to it. In this description, I'm also telling you all the methods of making your journal quite sturdy, and for that you can use either denim or felt, or you can use Decofil. And Decofil you can buy in most quilt shops, and it's a sturdy material with one side that you can iron onto the fabric, and it makes it quite easy to handle the fabrics under the sewing machine. You can sew over this and make the cover quite sturdy. I am explaining more in my writing than I can tell you in this video, but I am finishing this journal off with some eyelets and some elastics. And I love to put multiple journals inside this cover, and this is the way I join the journals together. Put one elastic over two journals, and then you can pull them underneath the center elastic, and I can even manage a third journal in here by putting that one in the middle. And by this way the journals are tied to the cover quite sturdily, and yeah, I really like this finish. I also make a hole in the back of the journal to keep the elastic in, and sometimes I need an extra button so the elastic doesn't come out. And this elastic is really nice to tie the whole thing together. And also sometimes I like to embellish them with some charms and use some extra things. To make the holes, I use a crocodile. Most of you already know this device. I think it is a really good tool. I highly recommend it, but it's difficult to get the eyelet in on the back of the journal. So for that eyelet, I am using different tools. And the first tool with the pink handle I bought at a Dutch store called Pipo's. I don't know where else to get it than at this store, but it has these eye making holes and these eyelet crimping devices. I really like this, but there's also these other tools, and I think I got these from Amazon. Yeah, go to your local craft store or look on Amazon to find these hole making devices and these eyelet, um, yeah, to put these eyelets in. I don't have any other way to explain this to you, uh, but it's up to you and up to your budget to what you want to use. Obviously, there's also some sewing equipment that you need, scissors and pins and needles and a sewing machine. But if you are comfortable using fabrics, you already have these things. It's also a lot of fun to use all kinds of trims and laces and charms and all things that you can find in the thrift store are things that you can use on these journal covers. For the Dutch people, you can also come to my studio every last Saturday of the month. If you are in another country, obviously that is more difficult. But if you have any questions, you can always ask them by email, and I'm happy to answer them for you. For now, thank you so much for watching this video. I loved making this description for you, and obviously, again, you're watching the Dutch version at the moment, but I did translate it into English, not into German, only into English because my German is not too good. I'm sorry if you are here from Germany. But if you like this video, please consider to give this video a thumbs up. That helps me out a lot. And if you like to subscribe, that would be a lot of fun too. I hope to see you again really soon, and thank you again. Bye bye for now.